29th seed at Wimbledon, first Filipino ever. Not first this year, first in history. Over 100 years of that tournament, and not one player from the Philippines had ever walked in seated. Not one. And months before any of that, when a 19-year-old wild card from the Philippines beat a 5-time Grand Slam champion, the man who personally built the academy that trained her couldn't stay quiet. Rafael Nadal, 22-time Grand Slam champion, posted directly to her, "We are extremely proud of you, Alex. What an incredible tournament. Let's keep dreaming." She is 21 years old. She learned tennis from a grandfather who is no longer alive to see any of this. And as of this week, she just did it again. Here is what you need to understand about the Philippines and tennis. In every other major sport, Filipinos have someone to look up to. Basketball, there's a whole culture built around it. Boxing, you have Pacquiao. But tennis, professional women's tennis, there was nobody. Not one Filipino woman had ever cracked the WTA Top 100. Not one had ever made it into a Grand Slam main draw as a seeded player. There was no path, no blueprint, no older player you could call and ask, "How did you do it? What do you do when it gets hard?" There was nothing. So when a little girl in Pasig City picked up a tennis racket at 4 years old, she wasn't following in anyone's footsteps. She was about to make her own. Her name is Alex Eala. Most people outside the Philippines still don't know that name. They're about to. She grew up training on a makeshift court at a country club in Pasig. Not a rich kid who had everything story, because tennis is never that simple. Her first coach wasn't a professional. He wasn't a former tour player. He was her grandfather. His name was Roberto Maniego. Everyone called him Lolo Bob. He was a club player, an amateur. A man who loved the game and loved his grandchildren more. Every single day he showed up with a basket of balls and fed them to young Alex and her brother on that court in Pasig. Every day, no days off, no excuses. Just a grandfather who believed in something he couldn't yet prove. At 12 years old, she won a prestigious junior tournament in France called Les Petits As. It earned her a scholarship to the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain. Think about that for a moment. A new country, a new language, a new culture, at an academy built by one of the greatest players who has ever lived. No Filipino player who had ever done this before her. No one to call who understood exactly what she was walking into. She left the court in Pasig, and the grandfather with the basket of balls, and she flew to Spain to find out what she was made of. Lolo Bob stayed behind. He passed away in 2019. He never saw what was coming. But she never forgot what he taught her. She said it herself. "So much of my foundation, my mentality, my bravery on court, comes from the tough love and sacrifice he gave me." In 2023, she graduated from the academy. Standing there that day, as a guest of honor, was Iga Swiatek. Remember that name. It matters again very soon. By 2025, the tennis world started to notice Alex Eala. She was climbing the rankings, winning matches in smaller tournaments. People inside the sport knew her name. Outside the sport, outside the Philippines, almost nobody had heard of her. Then came Miami, the 2025 Miami Open. She entered as a wild card, ranked 140th in the world. The players she was about to face were among the best on the planet. She beat Jelena Ostapenko, a former Grand Slam champion. Then she beat Madison Keys, the reigning Australian Open champion. Then she walked onto the court against Iga Swiatek, the world number 2, a 5-time Grand Slam champion, the same woman who stood beside her at her own graduation 2 years earlier. A 19-year-old wild card from the Philippines beat her, 6-2, 7-5. Within hours, Rafael Nadal himself posted it publicly. "We are extremely proud of you, Alex. What an incredible tournament. Let's keep dreaming." In the Philippines, it was like a national holiday. She wasn't just a tennis player anymore. She was a symbol. She was proof that one of their own could compete at the very highest level of world sport. Then came Rome, just weeks later. The whole tennis world was watching to see if Miami was real or if it was a lucky run. A player named Marta Kostyuk put Alex Eala down 6-0, 6-1. She lost the first 10 games of the match. The girl who had just beaten the world number 2 was dismantled in just over an hour, live on television. Was Miami just a fluke? That question got very loud, very fast. Here's what Alex Eala did after Rome. Nothing dramatic. No press conference promising revenge. She went back to work, quietly, the way Lolo Bob taught her. Feet on the ground. Stay coachable. Keep working. A few weeks after that, she reached her first WTA final in Eastbourne. She didn't win it. But Nadal was watching that one too, posting simply, "The first final of many finals. Alex Eala 05. Then the grass season of 2026 arrived. She won a title in Birmingham. Then she went to Berlin as a wild card again, ranked in the 30s, in a draw that included Elena Rybakina and Elina Svitolina, 2 Grand Slam-level champions. Alex Eala beat Rybakina 7-5, 6-4. Then she beat Svitolina too, 6-3, 6-4. Back-to-back, on grass, as a wild card. Greg Rusedski, a man who reached the top 5 in the world and played Wimbledon more times than most people can count, said it himself. Beating Rybakina and Svitolina back-to-back gives a player enormous self-belief, and that she was on a roll heading into the biggest tournament on earth. But here's the part almost nobody said out loud. Wimbledon isn't Birmingham. Wimbledon isn't Berlin. The draw had Aryna Sabalenka at number 1, Swiatek defending the title, Coco Gauff, the very best players in the world, the ones who've been winning Grand Slams for years. Alex Eala walked in seated 29th, first Filipino in history, first player from all of Southeast Asia to earn a Wimbledon seed since Thailand's Tamarine Tanasugarn in 2009, 17 years. And she didn't just show up. She beat Swiatek, the defending champion, in the 3rd round, 7-6, 6-2, becoming the first Filipino to reach the 2nd week of a Grand Slam. Her run ended 2 rounds later against Jasmine Paolini. That's where the story everyone already knows ends. Here's where it doesn't stop. A few weeks later, Alex Eala landed in Washington, D.C. for the Mubadala DC Open. Same pattern, same quiet confidence. And almost immediately, a new test arrived. Her first opponent was Zheng Qinwen, the reigning Olympic gold medalist. Eala went down a set. Then she came back and won, 4-6, 6-4, 6-1. 2 days later, her opponent was Leylah Fernandez, the defending champion of that exact tournament. Eala lost the plot for a stretch, and found herself down 1-5 in the 2nd set, 1 game away from a 3rd set against a former Grand Slam finalist. She came back from there too, won 5 straight games, won the tiebreak 7-1, final score 6-2, 7-6. 2 comebacks, 2 completely different kinds of pressure, in the same week. That's not luck. At some point, that's just who she is. She now sits at a career-high ranking of 28 in the world, with a quarterfinal in Washington still ahead of her, and Toronto, Cincinnati, and the US Open still to come this summer. So here is the honest question for this video. Do you believe she can carry this into a deep run at the US Open, the way she just did in Washington? Be honest. Tell us in the comments right now, yes or no, because when she gets there, and you called it first, you're going to want that comment to still be there. Let's go back to where this really started. A grandfather with a basket of tennis balls on a court in Pasig. A 12-year-old who won a tournament in France and earned her way into a Legends Academy. A 19-year-old who got blown off the court in Rome and quietly came back to beat 2 Grand Slam-level champions in the same week. That girl is now the first Filipino ever seeded at Wimbledon, the first to reach the 2nd week of a Grand Slam, and, as of this week, someone who has now come back from the brink twice in a single tournament against an Olympic champion and a defending WTA title holder. Rafael Nadal told her to keep dreaming after Miami. He said it again after Eastbourne. Imagine what he's saying now. Alex Eala is 21 years old. Her grandfather won't be in the stands for any of it. But if you watch her play, if you watch how she doesn't panic when it gets hard, if you watch how she just goes back to work after a bad stretch, you'll see him, in every single shot. That is why 115 million people are watching. Drop your prediction in the comments right now, because this story is not over. It's not even close to over.